Listeners can get free, fresh and delicious Sherry's berries starting at $19.99 plus shipping and handling for this week only. When you double the berries for just $10 more, your gift will include something extra. Sherry's super popular dipped caramel pretzel rods. Your berries will arrive in Sherry's Berries signature gift box with a beautiful ribbon. No gift wrap required. You choose your delivery date, and it's guaranteed. Customer satisfaction is always number one, or your money back. An incredible, unique gift that's perfect for sharing. Though Mom may not want to, there's only one way to get this amazing deal from Mom. Freshly dipped strawberries starting at $19.99 plus shipping and handling. And remember, when you double the berries for just $10 more this week, your gift will include an extra decadent gift of dipped caramel pretzels. Mother's Day is May 13th, right around the corner. So visit berries.com today. That's BERRIES.com. Then click on the mic in the upper right corner and enter my code PROGRESS. That's berries.com, BERRIES.com, code PROGRESS. Please, ma'am, and please, sir. Happy Mother's Day. May the 4th be with you. Happy Cinco de Mayo. A lot of stuff going on. Joining us in studio now is Marbre Stahly-Butts. Did I get it?
That's it.
Got it all?
You got
Okay,
it.
beautiful. How are you this morning? Good to see you.
I'm good. How you doing?
Just fine. Welcome to Sirius XM. And folks, you can see her. We're on live video, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make it plain. I heard about this last year.
Mm-hmm.
You all did this last year. Just the same group did last year?
Yep.
Okay. So tell us all about it. Doing something special for Mother's Day.
Yeah,
right. Tell us all about it, if you would. And your name of your organization, too, please.
Yep. So my name is Marbre Stahly-Butts. I'm with Law for Black Lives, but I'm also here representing the National Bailout Collective, which is a formation of about 15 different groups, mostly Black organizers and lawyers and legal workers from across the country who work in communities that are deeply impacted by mass criminalization and incarceration. And so it was, I think, last January, Mary Hooks, who is an amazing leader from the South, from Song, Southerners on New Ground, came to our group and said, I think that we should do something really important for Mama's Day, for Mother's Day, and suggested that we actually use the holiday to bail out Black women across the country who are locked in cages simply because they can't afford to pay bail. And so last year was our first Mama's Day bailout. We bailed out over 120 women from across the country.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful thing. I think, more than 38,000 women are incarcerated, mothers are locked up tonight because they can't afford to pay bail. And so the idea is that we raise money and we post their bail, and they get to come home and spend Mother's Day and beyond that with their children. Lots of these women are locked up for very minor offenses. We had a woman last year from Atlanta who was locked up for a suspended license. We had folks across the country who had done almost nothing wrong, but were caught up in this system, and really bails as low as $50, $100, $200 that folks just can't pay because they're struggling month to month. And so we step in and we post bail for them, and then we also try and support them to provide housing, job opportunities, transportation, childcare, to make sure they can get back on their feet.
Wow, I'm really touched. Frankly, when I heard about it last year, I was like, oh my God, that's probably one of the most beautiful Mother's Day actions I've ever heard of. You all bailed out how many last year?
We bailed out 120 folks last year for Mama's Day. And then throughout the year, about 100 more. So we bailed out about 220 people total.
So to put it simply, the goal is this year to do the same thing and hopefully bail out even more.
That's right.
Now, folks, I'm going to cut right to the chase. The bottom line is we need your help to do this.
That's
we need
right.
people to give money. How do they do so?
So they can check us out at nationalbailout.org, which is our website. You can also follow us on Facebook or on Twitter at National Bailout. And so check us out. We're across the country. We're bailing out folks this year in 20 different locations. So every place from Los Angeles to Alabama to here in New York City. And lots of it is also not just about the bailout. Like, we want to make sure we get people home. But more than that, we are in a system that every day there's more than 400,000 folks locked up tonight because they can't afford to pay bail. And this, of course, impacts Black and brown folks at disproportionate rates. About 2 times more likely to be locked up if you're Black or brown in this country. Your bail is twice as high if you're Black or brown. And so we really want to shine a light on what is often people are erased and ignored when they go inside of these cages. And so we want to say, like, this can't continue. And how do we put our money and our hearts and our efforts behind not only getting our people out of cages today, but also transforming these systems?
And that's a problem in and of itself, the number of people that are incarcerated in Canada. There needs to be bail reform throughout.
That's it.
But in the immediate, folks, someone's mother can't get out of jail for Mother's Day. Some mother can't see her children because she's locked up, probably for something ridiculous or at worst a non-violent offense, and the bail is set too high, you can help do this for her, for these mothers and these children and these families on this Mother's Day. So nationalbailout.org.
That's it.
Now
and
people can go there and give money.
Yep, you can donate there. We also this year wanted to invite everybody in so folks can do bailouts in your own city, in your own town. We have people locked up in every single jail across the country simply because they can't post bail. And so we encourage folks to try their own bailouts. There's a toolkit that you can download that walks you through every single step. How do you get folks out? How do you move from this kind of bandage solution to advocacy that would change the system? But all that's at nationalbailout.org.
So you mean and bring other people in. In other words,
right.
If people are listening and they're in a locale,
and you feel called to that,
yeah,
right.
and they're not on the list. So wherever you are, whatever city you in, y'all want to do something. We always talk about doing stuff. This is do radio, not talk radio. Yeah. You can go to nationalbailout.org right now in your locale and decide to help with this and become a part of the network and help to raise the money to help women get out of jail in time for Mother's Day. Now, we're a week away from now. You're talking about a Mother's Day gift. Yeah. We're a week away from Mother's Day. Now, it seems like last year, too, because everybody's texting and giving money now, too. Can you do that again?
You can.
Okay.
There's a dope app called Appalachian, which allows you to actually give all your spare change. So if you at Starbucks or whatever and you make a charge for $5.85, you can give the extra 15 cents to Appalachian. And so they are a website that developed that's super dope that allows you to sign up and keep on giving your spare change every month. And they've been an incredible contributor to the National Bailout.
So that's Appalachian, like abolition, but Appalachian with two P's.
APP.
Yeah, Appalachian. And then you set it up so then a small percentage or whatever comes out and goes.
So whatever
in.
your spare change is. So if you make a purchase for $8, whatever the difference between that and the amount you paid was.
Yeah. So folks, this is very, very important. Any stories you can share with us about mothers that were able to be bailed out and to go back home?
Absolutely. There's a beautiful story. Actually, we're going to drop a video on the website today of Ebony, who is a young mother of 3 boys in Atlanta, Georgia, who got a ticket for not having a seatbelt on. And she got a ticket. They asked her to come to court. She never got the actual notice for the court. And so 3 years later, she's driving to get her son some snacks. And the cops pull her over for a tail light. And they take her into Fulton County Jail. And she stays there for 8 days because she had missed the ticket for this seatbelt. And of course, we know that even a day in jail, people lose their houses, they lose their jobs, you can lose your kids if you can't call nobody, you can't get a hold of your children. And so we see that there's a huge kind of like collateral consequences of even being locked up for a day. But she was locked up in a cold jail cage for 8 days because her headlight was out and because she didn't have a seatbelt on. And so we think about like what that means for her family, for her kids. We also had a young woman who was in Los Angeles who was homeless, who was kind of falling on hard times. She and her baby were sleeping in their vehicle. And the cops came and arrested her for child abandonment because she couldn't find a home for her son. And she was locked up for weeks because of that. And all of this is because she couldn't pay a bill in Los Angeles, which is very expensive now to get housing. And so she was essentially criminalized for being homeless. And then her child was taken from her. And so we see over and over again across the country that the lack of like social support, the lack of jobs creates situations where women are being criminalized and then being locked up. And so both those women now are home with their families. They're able not only to get back on their feet, Our network provides support from housing to transportation, but also now they're in a community of folks who are really there to advocate and support them. And we find often more than half the cases once you post bail are dismissed. And so many of these cases are not actually solid cases that once you post bail and come back to court, the prosecutor says, oh, it's cool, never mind actually. And so we see that the bail system is used to hold folks hostage and push cases through. And so 98% of all cases result in plea bargains, and folks aren't guilty, but to get out of cages, they also they're guilty of things they didn't do. And so not only does bail allow folks to be home with their families to fight their case, but it also I think shines a light on our justice system that is really promiscuous in who it chooses to lock up, and it really ruins folks' lives. And so we're excited to support folks and be able to fight their cases and also be with their families.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you would think in this day and age, as you're right, as many cases are thrown out after bail.
Yep.
How does it even serve the system? Because you're spending more money to keep somebody incarcerated than most times the money you get from the bail.
That's
and then if
right.
you're going to throw the case out anyway, and then if you don't throw it out, then you plea bargain, then you end up sending them somewhere else where you spend even more money to take care of it. And all y'all crazy tax people, we don't like taxes. Well, that's where your money's going.
That's right. It's $9 billion wasted a year.
That's what y'all paying for.
To lock folks up in jail. I mean, I think the other thing that's important is that there are a lot of private industries. We have the bail bonds industry that makes billions of dollars every year by exploiting people to post bonds. We have private prisons across the country. We have folks who make money off of these jail cages for food, for phones. And so there's been a real kind of convergence of private interests that means that even the kind of practical common sense reality you just said doesn't apply, because there's all of these kind of lobbyists who are pushing for their own interests. But I think the power of people who know that their mamas, their brothers, their sisters, their cousins are locked in cages for no good reason, I think will ultimately overcome the power of corporations.
Well, but we also know, let's be honest, that for our people, the jail system, the incarceration system, the bail system is another. We were talking about this earlier. There being remnants of slavery.
Absolutely.
We talking about books too. We've been trying to get Kanye to read some books. Criminalizing.
I got a list.
Criminalizing a Race.
That's right.
By Dr. Stahly McIntyre, one of my mentors who taught here in the city. Criminalizing a Race by Dr. Stahly McIntyre, and how after slavery it was necessary to criminalize all of us, to make us seem criminal and uphold that part of the 13th Amendment. And also as a question about competition, because we were actually competing with whites for jobs. You free us from slavery, you got to give us a job.
Right.
And so they weren't going to have that, so they had to criminalize us and demonize us in that way.
I mean, that's so beautiful. Mary Hooks, who again was the originator of this idea, often talks about this being a mandate from our ancestors. That before slavery was over, our people used to go back to the South and bring our folks home. We bought ourselves out of freedom. We escaped ourselves out of freedom. We ran from freedom. And so understanding the mandate to get our people free today until we can abolish these systems, I think it does not only point to the ways in which this system of modern bondage reflects slavery, but also all responsibility as allies, as accomplices, as Black folks across the country to get our people free until we can change and transform these systems to serve us. But absolutely, our people remain in bondage. There's that line from the new Jim Crow with Michelle Alexander that more Black men are locked up today than were in slavery in 1960. And we have the fastest growing rate of incarceration is for women across the country. And so being mindful that we are in a place and a time where our folks are still in bondage, and what is our responsibility?
What is that about? Why is it going up so much for women?
It's unclear. So, I mean,
they've exhausted all of us. So they gotta come for y'all.
I mean, that's part of it. Part of it is the war on drugs, opioids. There's been a real push. There's a criminalization of motherhood. And so we see throughout the South, women who have drug issues are locked up if they use during pregnancy, abortion stuff. And so there's a lot of criminalization of Black women bodies. But there's been an exponential increase in the rate of incarceration for women in the last 10 years.
Marbre, Stahly-Butts with us. Did I say it right? Okay.
You did. You got it.
So now, folks, go to nationalbailout.org.
Follow us on Facebook at National Bailout and on Twitter as well.
And give money. And she's right. Let's buy freedom for some of our own. We can definitely do that now. We are not enslaved that we cannot do that. Let's buy freedom for some of our own sisters and brothers, and especially some of our mothers. And we're going to keep pushing this as the days go by leading up to Mother's Day. I'm really, really touched by this, and hopefully we can get some of these moms home. Well, we will.
Yes.
We're going to get some.
We're going to bring our people home.
That's right. Wonderful. So good to meet you. Thank you
nice
for doing this.
Thank
Outstanding.
you.
And I'm inspired. Folks, if all minds are clear, it has been made plain. Have a great weekend.